Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. Brew, have you ever been in that situation where you get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom while your parents are having the devil's tango? This just happened to me. I am 14 and my parents are in their mid-40s. I'm the last kid left in the house because my two sisters already went to college. I just wanted to pee and make some ramen. End of story. Next story. Dog dildo 19 comments share save hide report 99% upvoted. End of story. Next story. How I found out BDSM was a thing. Growing up in the early 2000s was a blast for me. But it wasn't always sunshine and roses. I was around 14 at the time. I was in between schools. As my mother was terrified that my geeky, goth kid exterior would get me stabbed at the local high school. And she wasn't keen on sending me back to the Christian private school I'd previously been in. Because, regardless of my love for weird shit, I kept my head down. But still got singled out by the teachers, principal. Because I was going down a dark path. I spent most of my time playing video games, watching movies like The Matrix on repeat, and writing cryptic and depressing shit in my dead journal. LiveJournal was for the sheep. In that time, most of my friends since middle school had moved away, and we'd all lost contact. I was pretty lonely, and didn't have many friends in the immediate area. So I mostly relied on making friends online in gaming communities or chat rooms. The one shining beacon of friendship I had in that time was my uncle. My uncle and I are 10 years apart in age. So he was just hitting that perfect, mature adult with an immature sense of humor stage. He saw I was struggling with being depressed and lonely. So he took an interest in dragging me out of that and teaching me the things that my parents didn't see much need for me to learn: how to socialize, how educate myself on the world itself, how to talk to girls, etc. He was, and to this day is still, the closest thing I have to a brother. And I've always appreciated how he kept me from turning into a resentful little shit. Now around this time, he'd been jumping back and forth between living situations. When it finally stabilized, him and his friends found a nice apartment. It was the kind of shit you saw in 90s films. Second story. Big living room. Multiple bedrooms. Sizable bathroom. Nice kitchen. I spent every week, Friday afternoon to Monday morning, at his place. Hanging out, playing video games, shit-talking each other, etc. I fit in better with him and his roommates better than I did my own friends. In all honesty, they saw that I appreciated them. And they brought me into the fold. Suddenly I had a whole slew of older brothers. All weird, gothy, and funny as hell. For the sake of this story, I'll give them all names. Uncle Eric. Roommate number 1, Brandon. Roommate number 2, Jacob. Roommate number 3, Zach. So, around the time I started dating girls and my hormones flared up, I started taking notice of the older girls who'd be over at the house every now and again. Why wouldn't I? They were the type one was attracted to. My hormones were in overdrive. And it offered me plenty of opportunities to test out talking to the opposite sex in a controlled, friendly environment. They all got a laugh out of me, albeit not in the intended way, which boosted my ego immensely as a teenager, and ended up digging me out of my shell. After a while, the guys all found girlfriends, and most would stay over at the house more often than not. I slept on a leather couch in the living room, which meant I had constant eyes on the after-hours workings. when everyone would finally undulate off to bed around 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. I saw some funny shit. I saw some erotic shit. I saw some downright disgusting shit. I genuinely hope Zach finally stopped eating straight butter. But nothing will ever top the baffling, confusing series of events that took place one night between the hours of 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. Friday night had come at last. It was time to escape my overbearing father and my checked-out mother, and head on back to Funtown, USA. I packed up my bag, unhooked my PC and monitor, waited for Eric and Zach to pick me up, and headed off to my favorite place. We had plans that night to network all our PCs and play Unreal Tournament, and various other multiplayer games all night. We had a slew of snacks, drinks, and enough caffeine in our systems that if you put each of us on hamster wheels, you could power a city block for a week. Around 7 p.m., Jacob's girlfriend showed up with 4 or 5 of her friends. To the average person, this would be typical. To a 14-year-old dosed up on caffeine and sex drive, this was no ordinary time. You're sitting there playing video games. Then suddenly women 8 to 10 years your senior walk in clad in spiked boots, corsets, fishnets, and makeup that would make Susie Sue clap. Being the strong young man of principles I was, bound in brotherhood with my fellow men in a vow of no distractions, only games, I did what any man of my stature would do. I got the fuck up and followed him around like a lost puppy dog. Now, apparently, the friends were over to rehearse with Jacob's girlfriend. Rehearse what? A play, a song, a public speech? All right, I don't know, don't care. There's cleavage everywhere, and I'm driven by a force much stronger than logic. I was possessed by the siren call of the goth girl, and they thought it was adorable. Now, I don't remember any of what I tried to talk to them about. How hard I tried to seem cool. How many times I actually made them laugh. I guarantee it wasn't many. All I knew was that I was in unexplored territory for a man my age, and I was about to set course and engage maximum warp into the embarrassment sector. Gods be damned. Now, Jacob realizes I've taken off to drool, and calls me a multitude of things that would get you laughed out of society. These days, Eric laughs at him and tells him to just let me go make an ass of myself. And Zach is too busy flirting with girls on AIM to even realize I've left the room. At this point, I have passed the threshold. I have set foot in no boys' land. I am now venturing into the great unknown. Flirting with older women. I ask them their names. I ask their plans for the night. I play the unknowing part of that teenager that they're going to laugh about for years to come, who just doesn't seem to realize how fucking clueless they are. But I will say this. I did nothing but bring my A game to that situation, which, comparatively, is about a D game to women that age. But boy, did I try. I joked, and quipped, and referenced things someone my age wouldn't normally know about. Oh yeah, that's very derivative of Neil Gaiman. I'm a bigger fan of James O'Barr myself. What a fucking tool. Right? So, after consistently striking out for a solid 45 minutes, I admit defeat and retire back to the living room to the held-back tears and chokes of laughter of the guys. Did you mention your copy of The Crow is sitting next to your 32-piece collection of Dragon Ball Z figures? Quote, screw you, Zach. At least I don't eat pepperoni straight out of the bag with handfuls of cheese. You cretin. Jacob's next to chime in. I think comparatively, The only thing less moist at this moment is the Sahara. Okay. Fair enough. Johnny Depp. I am not. Finally. Eric pipes up. It's okay to look like a jackass in your teens. It gives you good practice for your 20s. Truer words never spoken. So back to the evening's plans we go. After about 45 minutes of scarfing down bagel bites, chugging Mountain Dew, and trash-talking each other in a fashion that would be unfit for premium cable, I hear loud music from the other room. We all turn our speakers up and continue on. 10 minutes later, we hear the sound of cracking. Not like a wood splintering, but like the sound you hear when you grab a belt and yank. Almost like a whip. Wait. Exactly like a whip. Now, for the sake of the story, Eric has a lot of different skills. His father did mechanical repair and dabbled in carpentry, and Eric himself was super into science and the ilk. As such, he was a bit of a jack of all trades. Seeing as this was the height of the late 90s, early goth scene, he saw fit to utilize those skills in a manner that would make him a bit of money within the community. He built racks for BDSM use and sold them for a few $100 a pop. It was a great side hustle for him, as it consisted of 2 thick planks of wood, some skills with a router, and just a general knack for carving intricate designs and setting hooks for bindings. Suddenly, from the other room, we hear shouting and commotion. The cracking sound gets louder. Finally, I'm starting to wonder if someone's fighting. Eric says, "Hey, wait, Don." But it's too late. I'm already walking into the back room. And what I saw changed my life forever. There I am, 14 years old, watching 5 scantily clad women practicing a BDSM fetish routine for a show they're doing at the local club. Paddles, ropes, chains, whips, the works. I am in shock. Eric walks up behind me and cocks an eyebrow. Jacob says, "If their boobs are out, don't look. ... Zach continues hitting on girls on AIM. The girls suddenly realize that a young gentleman's innocence has just been obliterated and come to an abrupt stop. They all hasten to partially cover up electrically taped nipples, exposed buttocks, cheeks, and the spiked paddle on the floor. Eric escorts me away, trying to hold back his laughter. I sit on the couch with the stare of a man who just watched his entire platoon decimated by a landmine in Vietnam. Zach offers me pepperonis. They're tasty, but the flavor of reality is overwhelming. Eric grabs me a soda, and 2 of the girls flank me on the couch, trying to console me and snap me out of my vegetative state. I am a broken boy. Half an hour later, I'm coming out of it. The girls still laughing periodically and rubbing my head and back. I have seen the edge of the universe. I have seen the end of worlds. The 17 mouths of the Dark Lord of Shame have opened, and each one has sung the song that shattered my perception of reality. I'm beginning to make peace with what I've seen. It's like Event Horizon. And I'm Sam Neill. It's okay. Where I'm going, I won't need these eyes to see. I've discovered an entirely different world I had no knowledge of. I begin to understand and accept it. I find myself with questions which the girls are 100% willing to answer. Now feeling absolutely terrible that I reacted so strongly to what I saw. I learned a lot that night. A lot of things that came in handy later on in my life. A lot of things that, by today's standards, perfectly normal. Hell, an entire franchise of books about the subject became bestsellers, albeit they're way more tame in comparison. So there it is. The story of how I learned about BDSM. And also the story of how I made some friends that would stick with me to this day. When I was 16, they all took me out to the very same club they frequented. I went there off and on most weekends throughout my late teens and early 20s. I even ended up dating a girl in that performance scene for a time. And she was a pretty fucking incredible person who taught me a lot about enjoying life. Learning to stop being so critical. And controlling my overly confrontational nature. I never personally got into the BDSM scene. But the friends I made who were a part of it are some of the most loyal and honest people I've known in my lifetime. Even after skipping town, getting married, and having a kid, they all still check up on me. We still keep in contact. And, finally, they laugh at my jokes. Which realistically, was all I ever hoped for. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.